Hi, everyone, and welcome as we preview this Saturday's historic running of the Whitney Stakes. I'm CC Broaddus, and I'm joined by the chairman and CEO of FatBallGuyRacing.com, FBG himself, Dan Cronin.
How's everybody doing? Hopefully you're cashing more tickets than me. I have been on a streak, man. I keep having all these big bets. Get to the last leg and I keep blowing, CC. It's getting frustrating.
That's all right. They run a new set of races every single day. That's
That's
okay.
true. Just
Tell
got to
us,
get you. I always say if you get yourself in position, you'll be lucky enough. So the title turn, I just got to keep getting in position.
right. That's exactly right. Tell us what's going on at FatBallGuyRacing.com.
Yeah, we got 99 bucks for the rest of the meet. So you got over a month, plus you got 6 days of Kentucky Downs there that are added to it. Plus you got Del Mar, you got Ellis, Indiana Grand or Horseshoe Indiana, it's called now. So you're getting a ton of stuff for just to try us out for a cheap amount.
All right. Hey, let's dig in. This is going to be a very, very, very nice race on Saturday. It's the Whitney Stakes. Of course, grade one, $1 million, three and up. Let's take a look at this field. Of course, this is a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Field of eight right now. Magnitude 9-5 on the morning line. Uh, I'll pose this to you. Is Ford still going to run? I'd heard maybe they would scratch for a different spot. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know for sure, but I think they're going to end up in the Pacific Classic.
Okay. Yeah. The Pacific Classic took a hit because uh, earlier journalism was declared from the race, and now Nisos has been retired with
So
no injury.
it would make no sense to run here against these horses when you can go out there and run against, four optional claimers.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, with that said, let's take a look at our pace projector. Uh, Now this is with Forge Steel in the race. He would inject some pace if they do decide to go. Magnitude and nitrogen, if Forge Steel does not go, you would think magnitude and nitrogen would be dueling for the lead, maybe magnitude a little bit quicker into that first turn. And of course, at the bottom here, you've got the late runners, Baeza, and of course, last year's Kentucky Derby winner, Sovereignty, who will be closing late. So, with Forge Steel, the pace figures to be hot, but we'll wait and see on that. All
Yeah, and
right,
what's Antiquarian going to do too? I mean, hell,
right.
he went 45 in the Met Mile. Or are they going to take him back like they did in the Suburban? I don't know. I mean, hell, he's liable to be up there with them too.
All right. Let's talk about these horses, each one at a time. First, we're going to kick it off with Magnitude, probably the horse that's had the best year so far. He's 3 for 3, winner of over $8 million. He's rattled off the Razorback at Oaklawn, the Dubai World Cup at Maidan, and then most recently the Stephen Foster at Churchill Downs, where he broke through the gate before the start, earned a 114 fire figure, and I'm sure the sheets are going to love him as well. Dan, are we playing this horse to regress off the big effort in the Stephen Foster, or is this just the best horse in training right now?
I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous because the Churchill Downs race was no speed in the race at all. He was able to waltz to the lead in the slop. Before that, the Dubai World Cup, I mean, it was 204 and 1. It ain't like they ran fast. And then the Razorback, there wasn't anything in it. I'm nervous about this horse. And then I keep looking at his Travers last year at Saratoga, where he had everything his own way, 47 and change, 111 and change. There was no reason for him to stop that bad. And man, he stopped to a crawl. So uh, I'm leaning towards a bet against.
Yeah, I think so too. I just think Gosh, this field is so tough. You just can't take a short price on a horse like Magnitude. Obviously, he probably is. He's the most accomplished horse this year, but in a field this deep, I just don't want 9 to 5 or less on him. So,
Right, right,
yeah.
exactly.
All right, let's talk about number two, the filly, Nitrogen. Fillies have had a decent history at Saratoga facing the guys. I'm thinking of Purcell Ensign. I think it was back in 1988, but she only beat a two-horse field. I know Havre de Grace, I think, won the mile and eighth Woodward as a filly. She beat the boys. Rachel Alexandra beat the boys in the Woodward at the end of the Saratoga meet. So, like I said, Phillies do have a pretty decent record at 9 furlongs, not necessarily in the Whitney, but Nitrogen comes off a gigantic 12 and three-quarter length win in the Ogden Phipps, where she set the pace. Not necessarily in her wheelhouse. She'll be up and on the pace. I don't see her challenging Nitrogen, or excuse me, I don't see her challenging Magnitude early. What do you think?
No, I don't think so either. The question's going to be, does she break well enough that Johnny V can get her the heck out of that trap? Because she may get trapped on the rail. If Antiquarian breaks and White Abario breaks, they could be right on her outside all the way around, and she don't want to be anywhere near that rail. So that could be an issue for her. But I think the price will be right unless all the women in horse racing decide to bet on her. 4 to 1 to me is a little low. I think she'll be higher than that. I did not agree with this morning line much. I thought she'd be more in the 6 to 1 area. And at 6 to 1, I mean, if you're betting pick threes, pick fours, pick fives, I could see using her. Do I think she's going to win? No, I don't think she's fast enough to win. And another bounce candidate, obviously, off that huge number. Um, I think she's more likely to maybe hit the board. Uh, I'm just not a big fan of her in here. Uh, she's not going to get everything her own way. Those fillies are not as good at all as these boys. It's a monster step up in class, I think. Uh, the 3-year-old colts stink, and the older fillies are not very good. I mean, those divisions are not good. The older male division's good. So I would be more inclined to say no, thank you. If I was making a short ticket in the pick fours or fives.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to use her at all. I think she rode a golden rail at Saratoga on Belmont Stakes weekend. And prior to that, she's not been terribly fast. Obviously, she's a great filly. And, on her day, she's going to be very tough. But she's not going to get the circumstances that she got on that Belmont Stakes Friday. So, me personally, I'm against Nitrogen. Number three is Antiquarian. Coming off a stumbling start in the Suburban Stakes, going a mile and a quarter, ran fourth, beaten in a blowout win by Phileas Fogg. Prior to that, fourth in a very tough Metropolitan Mile that featured Nisos, and then two other next out winners in Knightsbridge, who's apparently all world now, and Journalism, who went on to win the San Diego Handicap. A horse that had some really nice numbers at Saratoga. He won a Jockey Club Gold Cup last year, finished second by a head to Phileas Fogg in the Suburban, going a mile and a quarter. He earned some big numbers there. I think he's sneaky good in here at 10 to 1 on the morning line, and in this race he might actually drift up here. Now I think he's been working pretty well at Saratoga.
I would put him in my trifectas if I was playing tries for sure. I think he's got a very big chance to hit the board. It'd probably be an upset if he won, but that's why you're getting 10 to 1 and maybe get higher. I couldn't fault anybody that used him in the pick fours or fives. I don't think he'll win, but he's one of those horses that just keeps grinding away. And, as long as they don't send him up next to Nisos and Knightsbridge, let him jog fourth or fifth, or, even in the pocket third or something. He'll keep going. He'll be he'll be right there. I just don't think he's going to win, but trifecta, Yeah, I think he's a perfect trifecta horse.
Okay, number 4 is Forge Steel from the Saffie Joseph barn. And this horse was a 9.5 length winner of the Gold Cup at Santa Anita 2 starts ago. Last time had a little bit of issue coming out of the gate, finished a distant fifth in the Suburban. Now, like we mentioned earlier, we're not 100% certain this horse is going to go in the Whitney. He may ship cross country to race in the Pacific Classic, where he would run against Knightsbridge. So I don't know. You're banging heads either way you go. This horse would be a pace factor if he does go. If he doesn't go, it's going to help magnitude. Let's just assume for S's and G's that this horse goes in the Whitney. How do you rate him?
Well, if he goes, I think he'll sit second unless Husbands just sells out to get the lead, and then he'll fade out of it. I mean, to me, he's a non-player other than to inject some pace.
Okay. Moving on to the stablemate of Fort Steele. Number 5 is White Abario, trained by Saffie Joseph. Arad Ortiz takes the mount 8-1 on the morning line. Previous winner of this race a few years ago when he was trained by Richard Dutrow, winner of the Oaklawn Handicap in his second start of the year when beating Sovereignty in Journalism, and then finished a distant fourth in the Stephen Foster. Dan, that was the win at Oaklawn. That was a time when Saffie was winning everything. Right around mid-May, he started to tail off, but now he's coming back around. Eunomia won a Grade 1 at Del Mar last weekend. Could we see White Barrio maybe coming back into form for this?
You could, um, 8 or 10-1, I guess, is worth taking a shot. Uh, he doesn't like Saratoga. He's 1 for 5 there. His last 3 starts at Saratoga were very dull, fourth, and fifth. And especially the Jockey Club Gold Cup was, I know he lost the irons. I guess you forgive him for that, but that was that weird race. So I mean, there's some positives that he's been running better this year than he was last year, but I just don't think he's as good as the top couple horses, and I think he's going to be wanting when they turn for home. Saratoga is a really deep track. And I always say you can't fake a mile and an eighth at Saratoga. You got to really want it. To win at a mile and an eighth at Saratoga, you got to almost want a mile and a quarter. And I don't think he does at this stage in his career. Um, you know, I I think he's way better at Gulfstream and Oakland where the competition's just not as good. And I would leave him out, but it is Irad Ortiz and it is Saffie, so I guess anything could happen. He wouldn't be one that I would bet on.
Key stat here: Saffie Joseph is 1 out of 22 at Saratoga this meet. On the flip side, though, White Abario 1 for 5 at Saratoga, as you said. That win, though, in the Whitney was one of his best races in his career. The bad news is that was 3 years ago. When the horse was a 4-year-old, and this horse has a penchant for racing wide. I'm not nuts about him on Saturday. Now, number 6, Sovereignty, last year's Kentucky Derby winner, last year's Belmont Stakes winner, Travers Stakes winner. Not what the doctor ordered this year. Not how plans have been predicted to unfold. He finished second after setting him the pace in the Oaklawn handicap back in April, and then really perhaps the worst race of his career when he finished third, beating 5 1/4 lengths in the Stephen Foster. Well, not the worst race. I mean, it was obviously a fast race, but it was the most disappointing race of his career, I should say. This horse is 3 for 4 at Saratoga and has been working okay, not out of his skin, I would say. But for those that think this horse didn't like the track on Stephen Foster Day, you have hope in here. Which side are you on?
Yeah, I think you still got to give him one more chance. I just, he's had excuses. You know, he got stuck on the lead. They went, I mean, 108, still a fast number. You know, then he caught the slop in a race with no speed whatsoever. So the entire race was kind of, you know, a strange race in itself. So the fact that he loves Saratoga, the fact that it's Bill Mott at Saratoga, the fact that the horse wants every bit of a mile and a quarter, so that should help him at the Whitney distance of a mile and an eighth at Saratoga to where he can just keep grinding away. He's going to get some pace to run at this time. If it's a nice fair track, you know, fast track, I think he's got a big chance. I mean, he's got excuses. Now, I will say this. I was really mad at myself for picking him in the Stephen Foster for two reasons. I saw the works and said, man, he looks fat to me, but I'm not an expert on horse flesh. I'm not an expert on what he looked like last year versus this year. So I kept thinking, well, maybe that's just me thinking that, you know, and then I watched his work and I'm like, I mean, it's okay, but it didn't look like some world beater. Then I saw him on the track warming up and I'm like, I must be nuts, but this horse looks fat. And then all of a sudden, after the race, here come all the horse flesh experts. Of course, none of them said it before the race. But after the race, boy, he must have needed that one, man. He was not tucked up and he was not this and he was not that. I thought I saw that. So I'm not betting on this horse until I see him in the paddock. And I've got photos of what he looked like. And I want to see something different. And if I see him not looking like he looked last time, I may bet on him at 3-1. Now, if he's 8-5, I'm not going to bet on him. But, you know, in the pick fours and fives, you kind of got to make that choice early. I would use him for sure. I would use it. The race sets up perfectly for him. And I think because of his two bad races and because magnitude might take a bunch of money and the filly could take money, you might get 3-1. Probably not.
I think the biggest positive in his corner is the fact that Godolphin decided to continue racing him. I mean, they could have easily folded their tent and say we're going to stud and we're not going to worry about it. The fact they keep him in training, I think, is huge. So if you are in the camp of fat sovereignty, you know, Saturday might be your day. Let's talk about the long shot, number 7, Tiz Tastic for Steve Asmussen, Winchell Thoroughbreds. A horse that really came to hand last time or excuse me, 2 starts ago at Churchill going a mile and an eighth, and then found the Suburban Too Tough beating 11 lengths in third, although he did have a wide trip that day and did improve enough to get up for third late. Any love for Tiz Tastic in here?
I mean, if you're a try and trifecta, superfecta type better, yeah, I mean, you could put him third or fourth, but I mean, he's not going to be anywhere near the front of this. There's no huge upset happening in this race with a horse like this.
And then finally, perhaps the most interesting horse in the race is number 8, Baeza, a son of Mackenzie, the half brother to Kentucky Derby winner Mage, and half brother to Dornoch, winner of the Belmont Stakes from a few years ago. Baeza just can't get out of the gate. If he could get out of the gate, he might be the horse that we've been talking about as the best in training right now. But gosh, if he could just get out of the gate this time, I don't know. I don't know what the Mott camp has done to aid him in that. I don't know if there's anything you can do with him. But let's just be honest. This horse has a world of potential. He just doesn't have it between the ears when it comes to getting out of the stalls.
Yeah, and then he's in the 8 hole. So he's on the dead outside with that quick run up to the first turn. I mean, even if he breaks, he's going to be 5 wide in fifth or sixth. So I he's most likely to be dead last when they turn the bend, him and Tistastic. Do you think he can overcome that and swoop the whole field and win? There's a chance he could do that. I mean, he does have pride. He is Bill Mott's horse. I mean, 2 for 11 lifetime tells you probably not. Is he a trifecta horse? Yeah. Is he a pick 4 or 5 horse is kind of the question. Well, I don't know. Not, I mean, when I saw 7-2, it made me cringe, CC, because at 6-1, I could throw him in the pick 5. But man, 7-2? I
Mm,
don't think he's got a better chance than Nitrogen in my book. I mean, could he win? I think you're just going to do the same thing we do every time he runs. Oh, man, he broke last. Oh, man, he was the best horse.
all right.
He's not the best horse because he never breaks. He always has too much to do. He always finds trouble. I mean, if Pratt could catch a flyer out of that gate and somehow be third, fourth, a length out of it like he was in the Jim Dandy last year, maybe he could turn the tables. But remember, he had the perfect trip of perfect trips in the Jim Dandy last year, and Sovereignty still beat him.
Right.
So if the real Sovereignty shows up, he's going to win. The question is, will he? And then if he don't show up, is Magnitude going to keep going? Is Nitrogen going to pull off a small upset? That's kind of where I'm at. I think the race is probably between those three: Sovereignty, Magnitude, and Nitrogen, with Nitrogen being the X factor. Um, but they can't all be 4-1 and under. All four of them can't be under 4-1.
Right.
So something's got to give. The one of them is going to fade up, whether that's Nitrogen or Baeza. I think it's going to be Baeza. I think he'll go up. And then if he gets up in that 5 or 6-1 area, now I'm going to wish I had him in the pick fives. That's where you wish you could put in your combos and see what the will pays would be, like the calls do. Unfortunately, us common folk can't do that. Um, but that can't stop a late double or something, to where we can see if he's getting played, maybe take the horses you used in the race before and save with Baeza, if you don't use him in the pick 5. And that's kind of what I'm thinking, is I won't use him and then save with him if I'm alive to a decent hit. Because God knows I've blown enough of them in the last leg in the last week and a half.
All right. Final Jeopardy. Who's your top pick?
I would have to go with Sovereignty.
Okay. I just for to be a contrarian, I'm going to pick Antiquarian on top. I think the horse is probably sitting on a big race. If I were betting this race, I think I would key box him with Magnitude and Sovereignty. A little bit more with Sovereignty if Ford Steele stays in the race. If Ford Steele comes out, I think I would use Magnitude a little bit more. But Antiquarian would be my top pick. I would consider like a win and place wager on him. I think his horse is a little bit underrated, especially at Saratoga. I mean, he's had circumstances go against him more than a few times. So, yeah, I think he's coming up to his best race. But I agree, Sovereignty. I think it's going to be a bear in here. Uh, yeah, so that's how I feel. Uh, let's talk about the Travers real quick. Let's throw up this graphic on the screen. I pulled this from HorseRacingNation.com. I don't think a lot of these horses are going to go. You can see right there in the middle, Counting Stars is probably going to go in the Alabama, but they had her listed on here.
Man, I
Uh,
wish she would go. I think she might win.
I think she would be one of the ones. I think she's a filly that wants to go a mile and a quarter.
Yep.
Uh, let's talk about what was your thoughts of Sea Strike? Little sprinty on the pedigree, but man, he really looked good in the Curlin Stakes on Sunday, beating Chief
He looked
Wallaby.
very good. Now he didn't beat anything. Chief Wallaby's a bum, and blackout time didn't fire. But yeah, I mean he ran well. I mean he's a factor in here, man. That number came back solid. I mean he fits right with these.
And then, of course, the Jim Dandy on Saturday, Renegade looked really good. running down Commandment, and I think I think Renegade may be back to his old ways. I think it was Vic Stoffer on Twitter that said whatever was nagging Renegade back pre-Derby and pre-Belmont. Pletcher said he needed more time between races. I think this horse may be coming around. So we may see the vintage Renegade, the horse we thought we were going to see in the Derby on Travers Day.
Yeah, I mean he ran as good as you could run. It did come back slow, but I mean, I don't know what you were thinking, but as they were turning the bend and Pratt was looking through his legs, I thought Commandment was going to win in a tour de force. And I bet on Commandment, and they needed Commandment to finish a few bets. And of course, he didn't get to the wire. That's the way my whole last 10 days have went. But at no time did I think Renegade was going to win until about the last 200 yards. And I went, oh no, Commandment's starting to play around, you know, didn't want to go by. Then he had to right rein him back over towards Renegade. But I thought they both ran well. I thought Commandment and Renegade both ran very well.
And of course, Baby Vino, Napoleon Solo coming out of the Haskell. I got a feeling Napoleon Solo skips this Travers, maybe goes to the Pennsylvania Derby, but I mean, I think there's a chance he could be on the on the front end of a really slow pace in the Travers.
Yeah, I mean, him and Sea Strike would be the only horses really with any kind of speed in here. Um, so yeah, I mean, he could be tough, and I think he's better than his Haskell. I, I I didn't like the ride in the Haskell.
Right.
I thought that was an overconfident, really, really, really weird.
Yeah. Paco was trying to ride two horses that day, or three horses, really, counting further ado. But and yeah, Savino Canyon's on here. I doubt he'll make the trip. Emerging market, probably not. I don't know. I mean, Chad might take a shot with him, but Silent Tactic wasn't bad in his first start off a long layoff. Uh, Finishing third to Renegade and Commandment, and then the Puma and Ocelli off the board in the Haskell. I know you're a big fan of how they spotted Ocelli lately, and then the Puma. Any love for those two?
No, I mean, I don't think either one should be in the race, but we got to get enough horses to run the race, right? I mean, the Puma could improve, I guess. Ocelli is who he is. I mean, he needs a maiden race. He needs some confidence. I mean, I know they're trying to make money. I get it. But man, there's so many other 3-year-old races you could be in. I just don't understand
Yeah,
what they keep doing. I mean, are they going to do this all the way to the Breeders' Cup? Are they going to run a maiden in the Breeders' Cup Classic?
there's
And
a
then
four hundred
maybe
thousand.
as
There's a
yeah,
four
and then
hundred thousand
maybe
dollars stakes race at Ellis Park this Saturday for 3-year-olds that came up as bad as an allowance race. He would have been even money in there.
that's what I don't understand. I don't get it. The horses sound. You know how many horses have been ruined uh doing this kind of stuff? What was that horse? Something metal that they put in the Derby. It was a really good turf horse, and they put him in the Derby, and then they put him in like the Belmont, and they just ruined him. Can't remember the name of the horse, but I remember screaming about it probably 8 to 10 years ago, and they ruined the horse. Um, I just hope that when they finally do drop him, that he does go on and win and have a solid older horse career and isn't ruined because you can ruin horses psyche and will to win and mental toughness and confidence. I mean, a lot of the girls in racing talk about confidence. I never talk about confidence, but I do think there's something to that if you constantly run a horse over their head, you can mess with them. So I don't know. It's not my horse. It's easy for me to say, but he wouldn't be in the Travers.
And last but not least, we can't go any further without mentioning Golden Tempo, the winner of the Derby and the Belmont. And I think there's a pretty good chance he would go favored in this bunch. But he did miss some training earlier in the summer, or in the spring, late spring, I guess,
Yep.
and no prep coming into this. Uh, what do you think?
You know, I didn't use him in the Derby. I didn't bet on him in the Belmont. Why do it now?
Right.
I mean, he missed training. I know the rumors were flying that he may never run again, that they might just say to hell with it and retire him. That's been out there. Um, as good as I think Cherie is and Jose, man, if you want 8 to 5 on him off missed works, missed prep, I just can't do it. I just can't. It goes against everything I believe. Now, again, if he was 8 to 1, nobody cares. If he's 6 to 1, nobody cares. If he's 5 to 1, nobody cares. But he's going to be the big favorite because the common person that's betting on Travers Day doesn't know he missed works. They don't follow it. They don't care. They don't even know he was supposed to have a prep. They're just staring at won the Derby, won the Belmont. That's all they're staring at. He's the Derby winner. We're betting. So he's going to be 8 to 5. Renegade's going to be second choice. Commandment's going to be in that 5 to 1 area. Sea Strike's going to probably be in that same area. There's better value out there than hoping that Golden Tempo storms home and beats him again. I just can't do it. I'll be taking Commandment again and Renegade and probably Sea Strike. Uh, I'd take Napoleon Solo too if he runs. I'm a glutton for punishment to be in front when they turn for home and get caught.
Right. Right. Well, we've got time to worry about that. What is it?
Right.
Yeah, another 3 weeks at least. So, or 4 weeks maybe. So yeah, we'll. It's fun to talk about, but yeah, we'll cover this race a little bit down the road. All right. So we'll put a bow on this one. Good luck in Saturday's Whitney Stakes. Dan likes Fat Sovereignty, and I like antiquarian a little bit. I think I'm going to try to key him in some exotics, exactas, and trifectas. So, yeah, good luck to whoever you like. Of course, tell us in the comments below who you like in the Whitney. Tell us your thoughts on the 3-year-old crop. And we'll see you next time. Of course, go to fatballguyracing.com and like and subscribe and do all that jazz. And we'll see you next time. Everybody have a great week.